Going into this 100-mile event, I knew I was slating up for making mistakes, but running these races, because they're chock full of failures during the events, they're really good training ground for forcing yourself to stare at some of the darkest aspects of yourself, some of your greatest weaknesses, greatest vulnerabilities, just being honest with yourself and being able to grow from it. That process of digesting failures and learning from them and improving. How to do that in my life outside of running is a constant thing that I'm trying to learn and trying to implement. Hi, my name's Denise Zwijack. I'm a 25-year-old medical student at Rosalind Franklin University, Chicago School of Medicine. My goal is to become an emergency physician someday, and I am also an amateur ultra runner. That probably begs some explaining. So, ultra running is running any race distance greater than a marathon distance. And a marathon is 26.2 miles long. So, races in ultra running can range from 50Ks, which is about 30 to 31 miles, to 50 milers, 75-mile races, 100Ks, and then even, of course, 100 miles, and even beyond that as well, actually. My first 100-miler was the Hennepin 100 in Kelowna, Illinois. The entire race was basically alongside a canal. Very flat, sometimes blacktop, sometimes just more of like a dirt, gravelly trail. That race was very enlightening because it was my first ever 100-miler, and my planning was not really good for it at all. I did not have adequate nutrition and did not have adequate fluid intake. Actually, at the end of the event, about 2 miles to go, I felt like a searing pain on my lower left tibia. Immediately, I could not put full pressure on my leg. I hopped to the woods nearby, and I found a stick, and I literally used it as a walking stick. And I hobbled myself 2 miles to the finish line. Surprisingly, instead of being like, I'm never gonna do that again, I was reflecting and was like, when can I sign up for the next one? I got the idea for this event during my first fundraiser for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. My mother had just been diagnosed. I was just a couple weeks into being a medical student. I had finally come home to Illinois because I went to college in Montana, and I was starting medical school. I was now going to come home. I was going to be able to be with family, and we were going to be together again, and everything was going to be great. The rug got swept out from under us. Flu-like symptoms and nausea ultimately amounted to her just being really sick one weekend, and me getting a phone call saying how sick she was, and we brought her into the ER and they checked her out, and ultimately not too later after that she was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds about this, also because it's a personal matter, of course, to my mother, and she absolutely deserves her privacy around this topic. She received chemotherapy as well as a bunch of other treatments for the condition. I had moved back home, which was just off the south side. I helped out as I could at home as my family and I tried to figure out how to manage, how to disperse roles, what my mother needed, etc. It was a very, very tough time. The primary charity ended October after my mother received her bone marrow transplant. As I neared November, December of 2023, I had this idea to create an event and pledge to run a certain amount of miles in exchange for donations for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Again, doing a charity in honor of my mother, but this time instead of to draw attention to and support for an amazing cause like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society in the context of my mother's recent diagnosis, now this could be a charity centered around doing the same thing for the organization, but celebrating how great she's doing and how much she's crushing it in her recovery. I just decided, you know what, we're gonna do this, because not only is this gonna be a great event for a great cause, this is going to honor my mother in a great way. It's going to give me a challenge for me to benefit myself as an athlete and just in general as a person. And I think we can do it on the Argo track, and we can highlight this amazing community that we've been a part of for so long. Generations of my family growing up in the neighborhoods around this south suburban area.
Hello, my name is Paul Zwijack, Andrew's father, and my role during the benefit was coordinating all the logistics outside of the actual run. Actually, Andrew is third generation Argo grad, going back to his grandparents. Myself and his uncles were more or less football players, albeit Andrew was the first one to actually do running events. The Argo community is very unique, multicultural, blue-collar working families, whether it be the trade, industry, factories, where everyone just judges people by their character and not necessarily anything else. So Andrew first introduced me to this months ahead of time. It's not easy to get approval to utilize school grounds like that. With their trust, we were able to get the approval, but that was just, that was the beginning. We scoped the area where we're going to set up a base camp. We got the weather forecast, and this is typical Midwest Chicago weather. Uncertain. It could be 60 degrees and it could be 30. Well, in our case, it was 30 degrees and snow. We connected with the athletic director who walked the area and said, well, hey, while you're out here, we have this shed here that the football team uses. It could be available to you if you're interested, and that probably saved us. It's where we stored a lot of our equipment, albeit not heated. It actually blocked the wind, so it really helped us, and thank you to the administration for allowing us to do that.
Had a big, giant 12 by 12 pavilion that was going to be the crew headquarters. We'd wall it all in. We'd have heaters in it so it'd be warm. We had a building with bathrooms built into it at the end of the other end of the course.
In addition to the very generous donations, monetary donations to the benefit, there were equipment that people loaned to us, let us use, audio-visual, the tents, extension cords, space heaters,
bandages, biofreeze, gels, tons of food, some donated and then some that we purchased ourselves to make up a crew station.
Alarico Martin gave us the donuts we needed from Saturday morning and Sunday morning. Ingredient loaned us a tent. Ingredient Incorporated, which has a factory down the street that's employed so many generations and really drives the local economy.
I identified a weekend that was while I was in a asynchronous virtual part of a clinical rotation, meaning that I didn't have any clinical responsibilities that I had to attend to in person or on a certain time frame. From about late November all the way up until the event in late February, it was just about being incredibly disciplined with my clinical responsibilities, with the studying I was doing outside of work. January and then February it got serious. I was doing a lot of mileage. I would actually go to the gym and I would do flashcards on my laptop while running on the treadmill. So I would be there for like 2 or 3 hours. That's how I would train in certain points. But then I always made sure that I gave myself time to actually go run outside, be actually in the snow, be in the cold, and get used to actually running physically on ground. This was basically the week before outdoor events like track were going to start to begin practicing. So it was just as things were opening up, but just when nobody else was using the track. So the weekend, it was like perfect. It had to be done now. It had to be done during this time. My father and I ran through the plan one last time the night before. I finalized packing all my stuff. I'm excited. Thoughts before the race, really? Mother Nature had an interesting twist with the snow, but I've run in snow before, so can't see how this could be that bad. I'd rather go into a 100-miler overconfident versus underconfident. Issues regarding, did I train enough? Is it gonna be too cold? With insecurities, with doubts. You can't start a race like that. I had thought about the training, I thought about my nutrition and all I had learned from previous events and the supporters that we'd have there and the fact that I'd have a crew. To go from a state that was, actually concerning, I don't think I could do this, to then just to be in a state where I just focused on what I did have, not necessarily what I, perceived I lacked. That put me in the mentality I needed for that morning.
Not the first time they call me weird. This feels like a documentary with so many parts which you never see. So many things I chase that life.
Hello, hello. I'm really excited. Just wanted to call and let you know that you're going to crush it in this 100-mile race, in this endeavor that you're about to take on. I believe in you. You got the support behind you. Trust in the work you've done so far and what you've been able to accomplish. And this is the end of the beginning. Make it happen. You're gonna learn a lot about yourself. Whatever the result, hold the line and make it happen. Take care. You got this. Keep hammering. Bye.
It was a race just to begin the race.
I had to get there a couple hours earlier with my father to make sure everything was set up. We set up the whole camp, the pavilion and the whole inside of the shed. The original goal was to do a live stream every 10 miles in which I would say a little bit of information about the charity, the mission of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, some facts about blood cancer, all just for entertainment purposes to enrich the spirit of the event, because the spirit of the event, of course, this is not supposed to be about me and highlighting, ooh, look at this guy, he can run 100 miles on the track. This really is to raise as much money as possible for a great cause. So I thought maybe the interactability of me doing some live streams would be a way to maybe garner more attention. I was going to stop doing those individual live streams after mile 50. My mother showed up to help with stuff. Some other family of mine and friends of mine showed up. And then we got Dave Brady.
Mr. Brady was a cross-country coach and track coach. He had a number of state qualifiers and team state champions over his career as coach.
He happened to be the guy who started several of my cross-country and track events during my time at Argo.
He also ran at Argo Track, gave back to his community, and now he still resides in Bedford Park as mayor, enjoying retirement, but it was really nice to see him kick off the event.
We got outside around 8. Live stream was working. I said a few words. Granted, I had no script or had not planned it, so it was a little rough.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out here. For those who are in person and in the cold, we got a little surprise last night with a little bit of snow, but there's no snow days in ultra running, so we're out here. I'm very excited to have been able to do something like this on such a meaningful track. I've run thousands of miles on this track. This is for also a really great cause, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. But without further ado, we're going to get started. I apologize for any hiccups. It might take us a little bit longer, so just bear with us. If the live stream goes out, we've had a few power issues, so apologies. Just bear with us, anyone watching.
We did the national anthem.
We also, how can I not forget to mention that we got a special guest here to my mother, Denise Zwijack, who this event, of course, is in honor of.
And we lined up at the starting line. Okay, Dave, as you do for all track and cross-country events, what are the rules of this event? It's still there. It's there. It'll be out. We'll do. In a split second, as cold as I was, as much as I was thinking about just starting this thing, getting this thing over with, I went through like in a flash, like the last 2-3 years of everything that's happened with my mother and my personal life and my professional life. It was time to throw down. It was time to put my money where my mouth is and do what I intended to do. And having my mother there and seeing her, hearing those words from Dave Brady, everything has been leading to this. So let's do it. And Dave Brady started the race. And off we went. 100 miles. We had a great crew stacked up, ready to go. We had Matthew Garza.
My name is Matthew Garza, age 25, race crew member, and I also got concussion. My sophomore year I did track. My junior year, fall semester, I started cross country, and I was the worst person on the team, arguably. I went through all the training that was needed to better myself over the course of just a year. When I came back my senior year, I was also a team captain. Going into college too, I'm competing with people who ran for 4 years prior, and I've done it for 2. We won conference my freshman year, and then we won regionals and qualified for nationals my sophomore year.
Awesome guy, incredible athlete, definitely the swollest person on our crew. Sorry, Danny.
A couple of nights before, I was like, what the am I doing? I was like, how the hell do I plan on doing this if I'm sore after running 6-7 miles in one day? And the next day, I'm like, I'm taking a day off. But then I was like, okay, well, Annie's a really good friend of mine, also for a good cause. And then I kind of put away that unconscious, selfish thought that I think everyone has, everyone's selfish from. And I was like, well, this is nothing compared to what, people with cancer go through, your mom, my dad. So it's like, why not?
I had Ernan.
My name is Hernan Cruz, 24. I was a crew member. I graduated from Argo in 2018. I first started the sport because I was told to do a sport from my siblings. They did cross, so I was like, running's easy. Nah, it wasn't when I first started. I did cross first, but track I ended up loving, so that's why I kept running.
He helped to ground our team with his calming energy.
I wanted to help Andy out, and it was something fun to do with the buddies, do an all-nighter, just fool around and have fun.
And last but not least, we have Danny.
Hi, I'm Danny, age 25, was one of the crew members. I ran cross country all 4 years of my high school at Argo.
He was a sort of impromptu crew member. Originally, we had another guy who was going to be on the crew. The morning prior to the race start, he contacted me and said that he tested positive for COVID. I give him props. He was respectful enough to test and to check before even coming, and I respect him for that. But it also did mean that we were down a crew member.
Actually, I was playing video games with him. I told him, I was like, oh, you're going to come over to see Andy run, whatever. He said maybe, whatever. And then the next day, he ended up texting me saying what time I should come over.
Kind of just showed up and then came back and was like, yeah. And he stayed without even telling us that he was going to stay. The day went on to about 9-10 p.m. and I was like, is he even going to leave? And he didn't.
I think to see you so dedicated to the cause, just really going for it. And we've grown up, we've been friends for 20 years. The tallying, the tent, something felt like something was going to be accomplished when I walked up.
Was willing to fill the need. And I can't thank him enough for that.
They all went through the same program at Argo High School. Class of 2016, class of 2017, and class of 2018. All very good friends from the time they started Argo to all the way up till now.
Felt pretty good with running on the track again.
You feel like the euphoric feeling of being back there and the memories that are at that specific place on that track.
For me, the worst thing that happened on that track was when we were doing a workout and a bee went in my mouth and stung me. That was probably the worst time.
Little did I know that in the days prior to and during the event itself, it was shared around a lot more, around friend circles and people in the community. We actually raised over $2,500. If we raised additional $1,250 increments, so meaning if we raised $2,500 to double the initial goal, I would run an additional 10 miles on the track. So we reached the 2,500 goal, meaning that this has now turned into a 110-mile event. I came there to do that job. I had decided that whatever I gotta do, I'm doing it on the track. First 10 miles, pretty nice, pretty basic, boosting myself up a lot. Realized that it's so much warmer to be actually running than it is to not be running. Kind of getting our bearings in check. Live stream was working. We started getting a lot of supporters, people coming in from the community, some friends, and family. It meant so much to me, and I think meant so much to my mother and even my crew and my family, that we were having people from the community coming to see us.
It was nice to see that we're not the only ones that are being present. The viewers that came, they even showed some care how mentally we were doing.
And then I brought some snacks. I bought some cheese, crackers,
Oh my
a fruit tray.
And I think that helped a lot.
You can have anything. Thank you so much.
Trying to do live stream, you're trying to heat tents and heat the shed.
I think we had our first live stream issue around the 15-mile mark. I had tried to do the 10-mile live stream. I think that jacked up the live stream.
It would only be up for 20 minutes or something like that, 10-15 minutes, and then they would shut off.
There was a point in time where Ernan and Danny went up there, and then I don't know what happened, but the camera was just facing the sky, and you and I were running, and you're like, look at the live feed, and I was like, what the hell? And then as we're approaching the turnaround, going into the start again, all I see is Erna look down, and he's like, oh my god, and then they have to go back up, fix it.
I don't think either of us were really tech experts or really wanted to be up there, but essentially it seemed like we lost the internet.
That wasn't good because now the live stream isn't available to people who are at home who want to watch and see the event. It was my goal to track on Relive all of my runs. Then around the time of the live stream, I was becoming distracted. So I think there's a brief period of time, somewhere from 15 miles to 20 miles, where it doesn't record the mileage. 20 to 40 miles, there are 2 instances, I think, where 2 5-mile chunks were not recorded. I recorded and just posted the 20-mile live stream as a video and did the same with the 30-mile, and I think around then we decided, or at least up nearing mile 40, we just decided, you know what, we're gonna can the live stream. Good intentions, but it's taking too much of our energy. I felt so bad, thinking about the people who were at home and the promise I had made to have this live stream available so that they could watch whenever. And so I knew right then and there, you know what, we're gonna make a documentary on it. We're gonna showcase the event. We're gonna show all the footage we took. And that's what you guys are watching now.
Numerous times the breakers went out. We had to get a generator. We had to balance the power across outlets. That was the biggest challenge. But eventually we got it balanced, and from that point forward, it worked out good.
The soup was incredibly valuable. It was incredibly uplifting. I think even just like soup as the symbol of nurture and care. Those ideas are coming. It's warm in my hands, warm in my face. It felt good.
I prayed and I fasted. I'm looking so fantastic. I'm feeling so ecstatic. Who would have ever thought this could happen? I gave up my worries and writing my story to the Lion of Judah. Now God has the glory. I'm on my way to see me away. Been through the storm. I'm not afraid. That's the glory, glory. That's my story, your story.
Usually when after people run a marathon, they go to sleep. We're going to be here for another 60-something miles.
My calves and shins were somewhat sore, but my quads felt great. My hamstrings felt great. I felt good, so I was like, you know what, we're doing good, and I cruised to mile 50 quite comfortably.
How's it feel on the track?
It's actually not bad. I'm actually over.
You're a liar.
I'm overlayered right now.
You're a liar. Lying. Don't believe him.
My understanding in ultramarathons, that's when your body starts to challenge you. I didn't see it yet, but I knew we had another 50 to go, so we had a long way to go.
I got back into the building with them. Once I was done with 50 miles, I had finished the last live stream. That's when my mother went back home and my father went to go get us some pizza. It was the hour of just chilling, hanging out with the boys.
Danny, how are you feeling after running so much?
The miles blend into each other. I couldn't even tell you how far I've run, but
You'd give us a number.
I can't. Again, the laps. There's so many laps. You just stop counting.
How many laps did you do?
Well, if I had to count off the top of my head, I would say if I was rounding, it would be a number that ends in a 0, like a 10 or a 20 or something like that.
Or a 0?
For me, we can break the day up into 2 parts: before the pizza and after the pizza. Because you take an hour break in between.
You're doing great.
How about the math?
What do you mean? Did I say something wrong?
Yeah.
What did I say? 70 miles?
70 miles now. So it's 70 miles.
Is it 70?
Yes.
It is 70.
No,
With 110.
110.
For 110.
yeah.
Ah, I gotcha.
Danny was telling me to say it.
We were just kind of hanging out, doing some rehab, some stretching.
I brought a Theragun, and then I brought a recovery air system, which is just pneumatic compression, and then I brought a foam roller.
Eating some food, drinking some water, and everyone was kind of feeling it, but there was a joking atmosphere.
It just straight up gave me energy.
The pizza, I think was vibes. It brought vibes. Middle school pizza party vibes.
In tough times, like, humor is truly the best medicine. I immediately got back out there because I was just thinking, you know what? I had promised to try to be done by 8 a.m. My knees started to hurt. You see, it's a lot of stress on the knees. I'm just straight blacktop in the same way, the same flat ground, the same angle.
The weather forecast was that it was going to warm up the next day. And we thought, well, once the sun rose, the weather was going to get nice and warm. But we did not realize that the wind was going to pick up.
55, 60 miles, 65 miles. And it was just like, holy crap. I'm in pain. This is cold. I don't want to do this anymore.
When the sun was out, we could just sit there and tally up, it was almost like a spring day. But when it was dark, 28 degrees, the wind blowing, nowhere felt safe.
I was comedic at some points, and then I had like serious when it was like nighttime. Like I played the C.T. Fletcher motivational videos and like, David Goggins, Jocko.
There's going to be bad days, there's going to be dark days, but you got to embrace it. Pain is what makes you stronger.
As the night went on, I went to like more of like a serious, mellowed out version because like, we're up for 24 hours.
You're stuck with the most boring person in the entire world, yourself, in your own head, and you have two decisions in front of you. The decision to keep going and the decision to stop. And these two decisions are just like the only thing that are flashing in and out and in and out of your head. To have to consciously decide to keep going, it's easy at the beginning, and then it gets really difficult. So mile 65, me and Ernan were running on the track, and we were chatting, and I had said I'm surprised no one from security at the school has come up.
The only thing I was worried about is if the communication was made to the campus security. Security changes shifts, did they get communicated, or will the event be challenged by security?
Minutes after me and Ernan got done talking about that, we see a pair of truck headlights from far down at the school slowly start to appear towards us.
If someone's gonna tell us to leave, I'm gonna have to get wordy with them.
We're walking over there briskly, we run this place, this is our event, we'll take care of this.
When we came back around, Matt Garza told us, oh, it's security, they want to talk to the person in charge and everything.
They said we have to leave now or they're gonna call the police.
Oh my god, it was so frustrating. It's like, this was all planned. This could have been communicated better.
We got a bit upset.
He stormed over there.
Didn't know he had that energy in him at that hour, but I think it changed when he saw who it was.
Blinding headlights in my eyes, and then I walk over, and then emerging from the shadows is Chris.
My name is Chris Schenkel, and I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. We met last April at the Glacial Esker 6:12 24-hour race. We ran the night race together. I don't even remember how it happened. We were just kind of running together, and next thing you know, we were running together quite a bit and split off a little bit.
He made mistakes like I made during my first 100-miler and a lot of the other ultras I've run.
You found me in the middle of the woods.
At like 2 in the morning.
Kind of wandering around, not feeling very well.
Me and another runner stopped and helped walk him back to the finish.
We've kept in contact. We've gotten together quite a few times, and you paced me for my first 100-miler, the last loop, the last 25 miles, and we were able to get that done in under 24 hours, which was really, really awesome. That was one of the best days and nights of my life.
Yeah! You have a special bond with any other runner who has knowingly committed to running something longer than 26.2 miles.
I just started running probably 5 years ago to just get healthier. I had gotten to a point in my life and career where I was just kind of settled in. I also really enjoy hunting, and I found out a couple times the hard way that for me to be able to do some of the things that I want to do hunting wise, you got to be in good shape, and it's not a joke. I don't want that to ever be an excuse. I've found that pushing myself beyond maybe some things that I ever thought capable, I've really learned a lot about myself. When I think of that race, the 100-miler, that is something that I'm hooked on trying to see if I can tap into that again. Hopefully the more that I can do that, it'll be easier for me to implement that more in my everyday life, whether it's with work or, my 3 daughters and my wife at home.
Seeing this guy at the event when I was at my lowest point, to just reawaken all this energy inside myself.
You sent me the dates and it was my wife's birthday, and I knew, oh man, it was going to be kind of tough for me to do. I woke up that Saturday and I ran a marathon. I got up super early in the morning. I got up like 1:30 in the morning. I wanted to get home. I like to get home on Saturdays. That's like our one whole day where our family can be together. Got home, came home, showered, made some breakfast, I think, for the whole family. Popped up YouTube on TV and started to try to get your live stream going. My wife, Keisha, she, within probably 20 minutes of like watching the live stream and all that, she just kind of looked at me and was like, you gotta go. You gotta find a way to go there. And I kind of looked at her like, do you realize what you're saying right now? It's your birthday, so I'm gonna maybe miss out on some of your birthday. I'm just trying to process all of it. Now that I know I kind of have her support, and I'm like, well, damn, I'm kind of tired. I already ran about 27 miles today. What am I gonna do? We had plans for my buddy Jimmy and his wife to come over for dinner that night. They were saying the same thing. They both were like, you gotta go. And I'm like, well, here's what I think I can do. I think I can put the girls to bed around 8:30, and I'll just hop in the truck and I'll just head that way. Drove a little over 3 hours to get to your place. I didn't know what I was getting into, I was like, man, I don't know. Maybe he'll be kind of pissed. Like, I don't know if there's family or anyone here. I don't know. I didn't want to interrupt what you had going on. If anything, I'll just show up and drop off some food or something, give him a high five. I parked up behind right between the football stadium and the track. Matt and Danny, they approached me. They didn't know who the heck I was, obviously. They thought I was coming there to shut it down. Hey, I'm friends with Andrew. I'm from way over in Northeast Indiana. I kind of came here to surprise them and support them and maybe even run a little bit of miles with them. And I remember both of them, they kind of had this look on their face like, oh, thank God.
We didn't recognize Chris, either of us, and he asked us permission to run. He was very polite about it. And so, yeah, we appreciated that, and we said, oh, hell yeah, we're not trying to run.
I was like, all right, let's do this, boys,
When I noticed it was your friend, I didn't even have to think about it. I knew I was going to pull a prank on Andy. And I told Danny, I was like, record this. I was like, okay, Andy doesn't know it's you, so I'm going to tell him that you're someone we're not supposed to be here anymore, blah, blah, blah.
I think Matt really just went with that because he was super excited. He jogged over.
Came out of the car at the perfect time because you didn't see him because of the light and everything like that.
I have like my backpack on and all my food and stuff. You kind of looked like you were about ready to throw down a little bit.
He threw off the mask.
Yes, I threw my beard, which is like a face guard, my beard face guard. I threw it down on the ground.
His form changed. He was relaxed while running, but he was walking probably as quickly as he was jogging all the way up to that fence, ready to let it go.
It took you maybe half a second and you realized who I was and you're like, oh, okay, here we go.
That was probably one of the more memorable parts of the night.
That was a pretty cool little joke. That lifted the spirits for sure.
And I think I fell asleep right after that because I knew Andy had someone to run with.
I remember thinking to myself, oh, it's on now. Like, I'm finishing this.
I was trying to stay really positive and be like, hey, I'm here. You guys get some rest. And I'm going to tap in for a little while here, and I'm going to run as much as I can. The whole thing felt like a dream. And I remember we said that out loud so many times. We just talked the whole time. There was that car accident. Another thing that made it seem like it was a dream. What seemed like dozens and dozens of cop cars and fire trucks, and we're just going around this track, every few minutes, just coming back and looking at it. And about every, half a lap here, you got the wind in your face and you got the wind at your back. And it wasn't a strong wind, but it was enough when it's, 20 degrees to kind of bite through you a little bit.
My father warned me, and he was like, I think it's going to be harder running on the track than you think. You're going to get dizzy and stuff. And I was like, that's not going to happen. But I think it actually did a little
I swear, I was like physically exhausted to the point where my eyes had to have been half open, but my mind was just like, come on.
challenge of not physical, but also emotional. When your body starts to shut down at mile number 70 and 80 and then 90, the excitement of challenging the conditions and not necessarily a perfect indoor event.
Interesting experience.
My daughters wrote you a note, and I remember hanging up all your other things before I left. Next thing you know, I was just back on the road again and heading on back to God's country. It was just something that I knew I needed to do. Once you get that like green light and your family's on board and they understand, there's not really a better feeling than that. When you have the support of your loved ones through, something awesome.
He helped me on like the lowest point of the race. 100%.
Almost 4 a.m. How are we feeling? What the hell?
On my way home or coming back, because I took a 2.5-hour nap in the middle of the night, it was almost like, what can I bring? What can I bring?
I can't think of a more valuable, impactful member of the crew than my father. He carried us.
Andy's dad was more of just in general helped out with everything, helped set up, helped Andy with whatever he needed.
Paul was there for almost the entire thing. For sure doing more work than I was doing.
He left and came back so many times just to help out, make sure we were good, and told us if we needed anything to call him or anything. So he was a really big help.
He slept for a couple hours and he came right back.
3 hours is all it needed because I was excited to come back and see him to the end.
I cannot thank him enough. He does not appear as much on the footage, but he was truly the most important person on the crew.
How are we feeling?
Cold.
Cold?
I hope.
It's 4 a.m. and we're still hitting the stanky leg.
It's 70 miles, 75 miles, 80 miles. Like, I can do this stuff. Yeah.
I'm hopping in this one. Take the camera.
It's such an amazing gift to be able to go through this. It's such an amazing gift to be able to feel all these emotions and experience all this pain and suffering and have a body that can heal.
It's 80, isn't it?
Almost.
An 85, 90, something like that. I'd come in for some rehab quickly and met up with my father. He checked on me saying like, are you okay? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm checking on him too because he's tired, like he's worn out and exhausted. It's just like, are you doing okay? You're doing so much, man. Like, are you doing okay? He's like, yeah, I'm doing fine. I asked him to join me on the lap, and so we had caught up a little bit. We're about 100 meters away from the finish area, and I like look up and I see the tent, the pavilion that they're under, like kind of like bending a little.
We were all in the tent, we fell asleep. All three of us, me, Matt, and Danny.
I think we were all kind of in and out of sleep with this like repetition of sounds.
I kept feeling like this chair hit my back.
My head was against the tent, so I had this like constant cadence of the tent hitting my head. And so I kind of fell asleep to that. It was something I was familiar with, but I knew it was kind of like I was in the tent, I was safe. Suddenly that sensation went away and you got hit with something else.
I just feel the chair lift off the ground, smack me in like the side, and then I just felt a bunch of wind smacking my face.
Before I even opened my eyes, I was like, this tent flew away.
From the legs of the canopy smacks my ribs, and I just feel it lift off, and then I just see the canopy collapsing on us.
For me, a box of cheese fell on me, and the cheese kind of like crumbled down my face.
I see Danny with cheese on his face, and he's like trying to hold the one by him, and the Ergon's getting up because nothing hit Ergon.
Luckily, it skipped over me, but the tent, flew over, and I was like, whoa, what just happened?
And then we see you and your dad coming around.
What happened?
3 crew members coming out of there trying to bolt it back down. That's when we had to make some adjustments to the tent, albeit the tent did suffer a lot of damage.
Yep. That's how this day's gonna go, huh?
It gave us some pep in our step because it was funny. Like we're comfortable now, and this happens to remind us that, shit happens.
It's 6:30. Our tent fell on us. We got a chair in the back, some cheese on the head. It woke us up abruptly. I got some hot chocolate now. How are we feeling?
Things are looking up. Yeah.
Looking up. You got some energy back?
No.
Race went on without any delay or anything like that, and we did as much as we could, understanding that, hey, we were only 5 hours away from the finish.
From there, we stayed up, helped Andy, just motivate him. He went into the box to change or stretch, and that's when, you know.
Maybe could you give me something new?
Yeah, I got you.
He looked dead. You know, he looked tired.
Although it's a synthetic rubber track, it's 30 degrees out. It's like running on concrete.
At one point you said you were looking forward to like finishing it. I was like as close to a breaking point as I've seen.
I was a little worried that the legs would give out before the 100 miles, but I think he factored that in.
Five more miles left, just 20 laps remaining. My crew had decided that they're going to run the last 8 laps with me, the last 2 miles.
It had kind of warmed up a good bit by that time. Like, of course, you know, the last 2 miles is when it finally feels okay. Actually, even too warm for running 2 miles.
I ended up flying my drone like the last lap, or like I tried to make it work, but I didn't know how to do it.
Those last 2 miles were chatting about what we had been through together, some of the things that we'd learned from the event about ourselves, you know, our mental strengths, our physical strength.
Okay, what's the first thing you're gonna do when you get home?
Some breakfast.
Proud of you. I think you had set out to do it. You had done it in a really remarkable time. I was happy to do those last 2 as a testament to like my appreciation of what you're doing for a noble cause, a great cause. And so yeah, I was just happy to be there at that time, happy to be a part of it, to witness it. And your mom bringing the soup, greeting and meeting with all the supporters who came. They played like a monumental role that I don't want to be overlooked. So that would be my big shout out.
I'm happy that people got to learn and understand what an ultra marathon is. In the end, he raised the awareness on leukemia and how challenging and how many people are affected by such a horrible disease. Our family went through a challenge along with my wife and Andy's mom, but the good news is that she is recovering, and it's events like this, the money that's raised, make it easier for the next person that may suffer the same type of disease. In the end, I wouldn't ask for anything different. I wouldn't have done anything different. And I'm glad that Andy and everyone involved is willing to take time for one single benefit within one community.
Running for me, I think, was a big thing for me. Got me into college. I really loved it, and I want to continue running, trying to get back into it. I'm also coaching, so like, you know, it's still there for me. Still want to keep doing it and to help others get better. I think everyone who was there just made it better. It was just great and a great experience. Don't know if I would do it again like that, but you know, if it was a nicer weather, maybe yes.
I heard this quote one time: success is a lousy teacher. If you set a goal, whether it's a small one or a big one, and then everything goes somewhat smooth, it's really easy to ignore maybe the little things that didn't go well on that journey that got you to be successful. I try to not only learn from my failures, but learn from successes too, and don't let those go by the wayside as an opportunity to grow and get better too. My wife, for her to just understand like what all of this means to me is such a great feeling, to have someone like that in your corner. And my girls, they're perfect in every way. I don't even know what it means for me to leave at 8 o'clock at night and go run all night and come back, but they're like, yeah, go do it. Tell Andrew we said hi. And then, my good friends Jimmy and his wife Amber, to have all of them in my corner that night, to have people who get you and want that for you, it's I don't know, it doesn't get any better than that.
If you were to ask me, hey, I got it next week, I'd do everything again. There's no regret, there's no hesitation. I think from helping you, it made me hungry to actually do one. So that's an aspiration of mine, is to at least do one. Shout out to everybody for letting me use their equipment, particularly my manager, Karen. I appreciate you putting up with me texting you during the hours, which I did, and my very bland responses. I'm honestly thankful that she was willing to support me, so I appreciate her willingness to put up with my craziness and my BS that occasionally I do. I can't thank her enough. I mean, she does a lot for me. Your mom, that was someone that was like, you know, whatever I was going to experience is nothing compared to what you went through or went through. My dad too. I mean, he went through this as well. Realizing that, you know, things could be worse than that. And I think that a lot of people take that for granted. Why not do as much as you can to better your health now?
We had a crowd of people. A lot of my family had come. A lot of people in the community came, and we did the last lap, and yeah, just around 9 a.m. 100 miles. Done. So, I'm not done yet. I still got 10 miles. Reflecting on what my crew and I and my wonderful family and the members of the community that supported us, like what we had carried out. What an amazing fundraiser we had made. I was running that last lap, and it was again that split-second moment from the start, kind of like that again, but it was instead around an entire lap, like where I reflected on everything in the last couple of years. My immense gratitude for everybody who supported this fundraising event. You know, whether you came out in person, you donated, or you shared the event and information about it. I couldn't have done this without you. To my mother and father, thank you for the 25 years you have sacrificed so far, raising a son, and for instilling within me the purpose and drive that I use day in and day out to go for what I'm going for and to pursue what I want to pursue. And a special thank you to my mother for allowing such a vulnerable, private aspect of her life to be a part of a very public, great cause. And lastly, to all my friends, all family, all loved ones, everybody who I've been blessed to experience life with, the good, the bad, the in-between. You know, without these experiences, without you, I wouldn't be able to pursue the best version of myself every single day. To be able to learn from my mistakes, to ultimately just experience the beauty of life. So thank you.
Talking to my father in the morning. Wake up in the night, the rain is pouring. I'm pouring my heart. I know you brand new start. I take it for granted. I know you understand it. Cause the flesh is weak. Just another week. I'm still here with you. This is not my peak. Rather suffer with you than to win in the world. I do not care about diamonds and pearls. Used to be jealous of dudes at the party. Now I know no one in the room was godly. Now I know they were just going astray. Gotta let go just to strengthen my faith. Gotta let go of the world and the schisms. Rather inherit his beautiful kingdom.
Every time you do what's right, if you obey, all of the right feelings will come. You don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyway, the feelings come. When you don't feel like doing it, you do what's wrong, the wrong feelings come. Feelings are not meant to influence your decisions. They're there to inform you of what kind of decision you made. Does that make sense?
There is other way.